Hey everyone, I'm so glad you're here today. We've got a fantastic explainer lined up for you, diving straight into the Archer Healthcare Growth Advisors framework. If you've ever felt like your independent specialty practice has just hit this invisible ceiling, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to put on our diagnostic hats and evaluate the hidden pathologies of stagnant practice growth, and more importantly, how to systematically cure them. Let's get right into it.
So does this resonate with you? Your schedule's totally full, but your revenue is just flat. For so many independent physician owners, the reality of running a practice feels like being stuck on a relentless treadmill. The patients are coming in, the schedule's absolutely packed, your team is completely exhausted, and you are running at top speed. But then you look at the bottom line. New patient volume has plateaued, and revenue hasn't budged. You're incredibly busy, sure, but you're getting absolutely nowhere.
When you hit that wall, your clinical and entrepreneurial instinct is usually to just, brute force it. You think, we just need to work harder. We'll squeeze in more patients, hire more staff, extend the clinic hours. But actually, that instinct is a complete myth. The real problem isn't your operational effort. It's a lack of strategic visibility. You can't fix what you can't see, right? Without a clear view of where your growth is bottlenecking, every single decision you make is purely reactive.
Okay, let's dive into this for a second. The result is a practice that grows by accident when conditions are favorable and stalls or declines when conditions shift. Why does this happen? Because as an independent physician, you're facing immense and often invisible pressures. You're going up against hospital-employed physician networks, private equity-backed groups, and multi-location corporate competitors. These guys have dedicated marketing teams, strategy departments, and ops staff. And you're expected to compete with all of that while practicing medicine full-time. It's wild.
Moving on to Section 1, Diagnosing the Stagnation, focusing on the 4 constraints.
Let's run a clinical diagnostic on your business to identify exactly where your growth is constrained. I like to call this the Rule of 4. These are the 4 foundational constraints, basically the underlying pathology of stagnant growth. We're looking at patient acquisition gaps, referral network drift, missed service line expansion opportunities, and operational capacity ceilings. Let's break each of these down so you can see exactly how they might be sneaking up on your practice right now. First up, patient acquisition gaps. Think of this as the invisible loss of potential patients. You might rely heavily on referrals, but what happens when a patient Googles you? If your digital presence doesn't reflect the stellar quality of your care, well, patients are going to choose a competitor before you even knew they were looking. Plus, if your wait times are 4 to 6 weeks out, referring physicians are just going to quietly redirect their patients to a competitor with a shorter access window. They're not going to call and tell you. You'll just see this slow, silent plateau in your new volume.
Next is referral network drift. Relationships in healthcare just aren't static. Doctors move, hospitals expand, and private equity groups sweep in and buy up overlapping practices. If you don't have a deliberate tracking system in place, competing groups will literally steal your market share right under your nose. You won't see an immediate crash. Instead, you'll experience a gradual softening of referrals that is incredibly difficult to attribute and honestly even harder to fix without a real strategy.
The third constraint is missed service line expansion. And this is a massive one. We're talking about unmet clinical needs within the patient panel you already have. Think about it, like a cardiology practice not running remote patient monitoring for heart failure, or a rheumatology practice skipping structured chronic care management for complex autoimmune patients. By not operationally building these adjacent services into your workflow, you are leaving immense clinical and financial value on the table, all without needing to acquire a single new patient.
Now, what's really interesting here is this 4th constraint. Operational capacity ceilings. The market demand might actually be there, but your internal bottlenecks are secretly killing your growth. Say you've got a 2-week lag between a patient calling and actually getting an appointment booked, or your front desk scheduling workflows are just slow and confusing. If that's the case, you're artificially capping your own throughput. You're literally losing patients at the front desk.
This brings us to a vital strategic contrast. Being full is absolutely not the same thing as being optimized. A full schedule is often just a chaotic schedule masking operational inefficiencies. Optimization, on the other hand, that means streamlined throughput designed for sustainable capacity. Optimization is where your true sustainable growth actually comes from.
All right, on to Section 2, the treatment. We're talking about the Physician Growth Accelerator. So, we've completed the diagnosis, now it's time to prescribe the treatment.
The Physician Growth Accelerator was created by Miriam Ashore. Now, Miriam brings 15 years of VP-level strategy experience from Fortune 500 healthcare organizations like HCA and Vizient. But what makes this so incredibly unique is that she also holds a Master of Science in Clinical Psychology. That means she actually speaks your language. She applies massive, health system-level strategic framework to your solo or independent practice, fully integrating both the clinical and business realities you face every single day.
The entire engagement is a super efficient, virtually delivered 4-week process. In week 1, discovery. They map out a highly detailed profile of your specialty, your referral network, and the competitive landscape. Then in week 2, analysis. They score your practice across those 4 constraints we just talked about to find exactly where the bottlenecks live. Week 3 is synthesis, where they develop a competitive intelligence report and a market positioning map. And finally, week 4 is delivery.
So the crucial point is what happens in week 4. You don't just get some dense theoretical report, you walk away with a prioritized, executable 12-month growth roadmap. It sequences every initiative by impact and feasibility. It tells your team exactly what to fix first, what to address next, and exactly why. The goal here is to leave you with a sequence of highly practical steps that actually fit your current budget and structure, rather than trapping you into a dependency on endless, ongoing consulting.
Let's hit Section 3, qualifying the practice. Is this actually for you?
Now, as with any specialized treatment, we have to make sure we've got the right patient. This program is purpose-built for 3 specific types of practices. First, if you're stable but your revenue has been totally flat for 12 to 24 months. Second, if you're planning to enter a new geographic market or open an additional location and you need deliberate competitive intelligence first. And third, if you've historically relied on word of mouth but are finally ready to shift to a modern, data-driven growth model. Oh, and I should note, this is not designed for hospital-owned groups or practices dealing with fundamental compliance or clinical issues.
Section 4, investment and expected return.
Let's shift our focus to the financial realities for a second. The investment for the Physician Growth Accelerator ranges from $15,000 to $25,000, which of course depends entirely on the size and scope of your specific practice. But it's really essential to frame this cost not merely as an expense, but as a high-yield strategic investment. I know what you're thinking right now. How do I possibly justify that? Well, let's look at the return. And this brilliantly illustrates the real value of the engagement. Just look at these break-even metrics. The whole thing pays for itself if you gain just 2 to 3 new, consistent referral sources. Or if you capture just one service line opportunity you were previously missing, like setting up that remote patient monitoring we mentioned earlier. Or even if you just improve your conversion rate enough to fill your available capacity. Achieving just one of these metrics pays for the entire engagement within the very first year. It's a no-brainer.
This really brings us back to the broader mission of Ashore Healthcare Growth Advisors. Independent specialty practices are the absolute backbone of personalized, continuous care, but you are under incredible pressure from corporate consolidation. This framework exists to empower you to capture the revenue you have rightly earned, helping you build a rock-solid strategic foundation so you can remain fiercely independent and competitive in today's market. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Will your practice grow by accident, or will it grow by design? You are working way too hard to let your practice underperform just because of a gap in market visibility. If you're ready to take deliberate action and diagnose your growth constraints, you can reach out to Miriam Ashore directly to start the conversation. Just visit AshoreHealthcareGrowthAdvisors.LLC.com or shoot an email to AshoreHealthcareAdvisors@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today, and here is to growing by design.